This week on Top Travel, we catch up with Janez, who's still on board the cruise ship Costa Fortuna, earning his sea legs working below deck. The ship's next stop is picture-perfect Tallinn, Estonia, where he's got just 5 hours to tour the city. Then it's off to St. Petersburg to visit the majestic Church of Our Saviour on spilled blood, followed by a quick ballet lesson for Russia's finest. Then he's finally reunited with long-lost travel buddy Jeannie in Barcelona.
I feel so bad because I'm on this cruise liner and we're covering all these beautiful places, and I just want to do some hard work sometimes. I wanted to give back to the kitchen, I wanted to give back to all the great food they'd given me, so they put me to work. You guys are working so hard on here and I want to offer you my help. Do you have a job for me?
Of course.
Let's go and have a look. I offer to help, and you know what job they give me? Really? You want me to do this? I can't believe this. Washing the dishes. Yay. This is disgusting. These people don't even eat all their food. Never again will I go to a restaurant on the ship and eat my food and leave some left over. I will never leave food on my plate again. Not cool. That ain't cool. Welcome to Tallinn, Estonia. This is the oldest capital city in Northern Europe. Now, we've got a very big challenge today. Our ship is docking at 8:30 and it's leaving at 1:30. That gives us 5 hours to shoot. So I'm going to start the clock now, and it's going to give us 5 hours to shoot the best of the best. I think if you had to do a survey, most people in the world wouldn't know where Tallinn is. And I'm not being ignorant now, but let's be real now. Tallinn, it's not the most famous city in the world. But, surprise, surprise, hello Tallinn. Tallinn is a real juxtaposition between old and new. The new city, rated one of the top digital cities in Europe. The old city is a UNESCO World Heritage Site with beautiful cobblestone roads and also medieval architecture. Absolutely stunning, I believe. Again, I didn't know this. We all know Skype, right? Skype. You know where it was invented? Tallinn, Estonia. Our first stop in Tallinn is the St. Olaf Church. Now, this is the highest building in the old town. I believe in the 16th century, it was actually the highest building in the world. During the Soviet times, it was occupied by the KGB. Now, we don't have a lot of time, and I believe we have, how many? 200 and?
Almost 300 steps, 285 steps.
Okay, we better get going. I walked up 290 stairs in about 3 minutes because my guide kindly informed me that she was the silver medalist in the annual stair climbing championships of Tallinn. They have that. Oh my goodness, Jana, this is beautiful.
Isn't it?
How old is Tallinn?
Well, nobody actually knows, but for sure 5,000 years ago, people were already living here. And the first people who came were Estonians, but they couldn't rule their country very long because already in 13th century the Danish people came here. Then the Germans, Swedes, Russians. So actually for most of the history Estonia has been occupied by different nationality, different kings.
Then why is it still so well preserved?
Since 1997 it's under protection of UNESCO, but during the history, well, sometimes it's very good to be poor because actually during the Soviet times there was an idea to demolish at least some of this old town, but then the problem was that there was not enough money to start new building projects, and that's why the old town is still standing.
I guess sometimes it does help to be poor. Jana, we've climbed the tallest building in the old town. We've seen this location, beautiful views. Unfortunately, we're on 69 minutes, so we better hurry up.
Let's go.
Let's go. I'm exhausted after that walk up the stairs. But what did the KGB actually use the church for?
Well, they had some antennas there because you can see this building. It was It was one of the notorious buildings in Tallinn, the KGB headquarters. So they used the highest building in town to put their antennas there.
Oh, wow, okay.
So then nobody was allowed to climb the tower.
I'm sure. Thank goodness we did it while the KGB weren't there anymore. Jana, the buildings in this main road look a lot more grand. This must be where all the richest merchants lived.
It was the place. This was the big street, the long street. So the rich people lived here because this street joined the market and the port. But there are some nice stories with this street. For example, in this building there was a family living and a wife, young, beautiful girl. Yeah. But in this house there was a strange guy, older guy living, and the young girl had a problem that every time she went to sleep, the old guy was looking at him from the neighbor window.
A peeping Tom.
Exactly. So the girl complained to her husband about this, but the husband was a merchant, so he didn't want to hold any duels, no conflicts. No. So he built a statue, looking exactly like the strange guy living in the neighbor house. So now every time the guy came to the window to look at the nice young girl, he actually had to look at him himself.
She must have been a beautiful girl.
And the guy was embarrassed, so he moved away from here, actually.
She must have been so beautiful. Oh, she must have been beautiful. You know why I say that? Because I bumped into a girl that could quite possibly be the most beautiful girl I've ever seen in my life. The only reason I noticed her was because I was watching my cameraman and I saw his jaw fall on the floor. And I looked at him, I said, "What are you looking at?" And then I turned around and I looked at her and my jaw fell on the floor. Just wanted to put her on my shoulder and run to my cave with her, like one would have done in the medieval times.
Stay tuned as Janez joins in the fun of Tallinn's medieval festival before heading to majestic St. Petersburg in Russia to visit their most iconic church.
Gregoris, how are you doing?
I'm good, how are you?
This is absolutely fascinating. It feels like I'm in a time warp.
You most certainly are. Can you guess what century is where you stepped in right now?
16th?
Almost, it's the 15th century. Yeah, all right. And now
what's happening here?
This is a wheel of virtues.
Yeah.
Let's try.
Here.
All right, thank you. So the wheel of fortune is, you have these rings, and you have to throw it on those horns. And if you get it on a horn, then you will have a virtue or something.
I hope I have a good one.
Yeah.
3 for you, 2 for me. Let's give it a go. Eyes closed.
Eyes closed.
From where? From here?
Yeah, basically. Almost. Oh!
Yes!
And best part is, if you get one, you get a free schnapps as well.
I'll take you up on that offer. Thank you very much.
Yes. Almost,
that was
almost.
close. Whoa!
So
Good work.
you are very just in your throwing.
Yeah.
And you are very friendly with your throwing, Jana.
Fantastic. Just and friendly.
Yeah.
There we go. You can't take a bad picture in Tallinn because everywhere where you point your camera, it's just beautiful. It's quaint. Everyone embraces the fact that it's such an old place. They haven't knocked down the buildings. They've still got the same customs that they've followed through with from generation to generation, and that's so special to see.
Welcome to our house. So we have prepared a big feast for you. The cooks were up from the dawn and been working hard. So I hope you love it, and you can step on inside.
Yes.
You are brave enough.
Thank you so much.
As you see, that there is a very narrow path to the 3rd floor.
Deja vu for us, eh? From the clock spire to this confined space.
Yeah, they are pretty similar, these medieval houses, yeah.
How many steps?
After you, let's go.
No, I will let you try it first.
And if we get stuck, we call for help.
Yeah, exactly. Watch your heads and go as high as you can. Just a few more steps.
This is a definite medieval feel to it.
Whew. Out of the dungeon, finally. So
Water?
now that we've climbed, we have to wash your hands as well.
Of course, because they're actually quite dirty. Take a look at that from those medieval walls.
Exactly.
A medieval lunch. Reminded me of those Asterix and Obelix comics I used to read, where you just go and you feast out on as much food as you can. They just, they bring you jugs of wine and roast and whatever.
The man of the table must bless the bread. And seeing that you are the man of the table, here, just have a little chunk of the bread with your fingers. That's why we washed your hands. Break a little piece, dip it in these herbs. Now, if the bread is good, we may start. But if it's not, well, thank you for coming. Bye-bye.
Fantastic.
Bye-bye. Yeah.
Fantastic. Ready for best, ready to go.
Great, exactly. Starting here, we have this smoked and grilled salmon with this forest nut sauce. Then we have sausages made of wild boar, elk and bear meat with some horseradish cream just to cream it up. Then we have this very fast rabbit, which I caught this day with these two hands.
Some strange food. Very strange food. Although I'm not shy I'll eat anything, you know. How does one say bon appetit in Estonian?
Hea tisu.
Hea tisu.
Exactly.
Enjoy. Kirsty, I'd heard of Estonia and Tallinn before, but I really didn't know what to expect. And this is such a beautiful old town. A big part of the income of the city must come through tourism.
Oh, yes. Well, for example, last year we had over 1 million tourists coming to Tallinn.
Wow.
And over 400,000 were coming from cruise ships.
And where do all the beautiful girls come from?
Well, I think they're from Estonia.
You've got to experience it. If you go to Tallinn and eat the local food, you'd be an idiot not to eat the local food. In the medieval days, if you were naughty, gossiping, stealing, all those minor little crimes, they'd bring you here to the main town hall, and they'd put this thing around your neck, fasten it, and I can imagine back in those days the men were a lot shorter than I am right now, so they'd probably be hanging from here, from their necks like this, hardly being able to speak. Ah, it's pinching the skin on my neck. Help me, dude, come on. No, hey, don't go away. Charles. I've always been fascinated by fortified structures. This wall used to protect the old city from all its enemies. Today, if you look through, that's modern Tallinn, and everything on this side is a World Heritage Site. But unfortunately, my 5 hours in Tallinn are up, and I've got to go find my ship. It's such a surprise when you go to a place, when you arrive there and it just surprises you. It just puts a smile on your face. You get that feeling in you that you want to spend time there. But I know I'll go back to Tallinn one day. I know I will. With all the food on board, it's great to see they have such a large gym. I mean, take a look at that gym. That matches any gym that you'll find on land, except on land, you don't have a workout with a view like that. Yeah, every morning I woke up and went to gym. Never skipped, never cheated on my routine. Did I go into a jacuzzi? The sun is rising over St. Petersburg. Now, yesterday we had an issue with time. Today we've got 12 hours in this beautiful city. We do have a challenge, however. Usually we travel with this big tripod over here, a huge camera about this size that they're shooting the link with at the moment. We've got a boom, we've got a bag full of cables. Today we're going to shoot the entire insert on this small little handheld stills camera that we've modified for sound. Our problem is as follows. We have a permit to shoot, which is in Russian, so I can't read it. The only word I can actually recognize is top travel, but we don't know if we have the right visa. That's our complication. So we're going to go in as tourists. If I do get arrested and the KGB do interrogate me, you do know where to find me. I'll be stuck in Russia. Don't ever mess with an immigration officer from Russia. That's not the right place to start causing trouble. You just want to be friendly and hopefully they let you through. Earlier I mentioned to you that we had 12 hours in St. Petersburg. That's not the case anymore. We were stuck in immigration for a good 4.5 hours. So it's 11:45, which means we have 6 hours left. But what can you do? That's Russia. That's the Russian way, apparently. St. Petersburg is such a majestic, powerful, rich city. You can feel that it has a past of great Tsars and great wealth. And you can see that in the architecture. Beautiful St. Isaac's Cathedral. Now that golden dome you can see from every single corner of the city. Now during the Second World War, the Russians were very paranoid that they'd lose that dome to enemy fire, that they actually painted the entire dome in a dark grey color so it would blend in with the rest of the city. The first thing you notice when you walk into St. Isaac's Cathedral is gold. Gold is everywhere. Gold is above you, around you. In fact, the weight of the gold inside is 4 tons. 4 tons of gold the moment you walk inside St. Isaac's Cathedral. It's gold everywhere. Wow, Julia. I don't know what to say. This is one of the most beautiful cathedrals I've ever seen. I mean, I've never seen a dome construction like that.
Yes, it's one of the greatest domed construction. It ranks the fourth highest domed construction of Europe after St. Peter's Cathedral in Rome, St. Paul's in London, and Santa Maria del Fiore in Florence. The height of this domed construction is 101.5 meters, and this cathedral can hold simultaneously up to 15,000 people.
The other thing that really impresses me is when you look up, you see all these incredible artworks. Now, what you can't see with the naked eye is that they're actually all made out of tiny little mosaics, and it actually looks like an oil painting from far away. Now, in the 19th century, they had a huge problem with humidity in the church, and all the paint started flaking, so they replaced most of the paintings with these tiny little mosaic artworks. Can you imagine how much time that must have taken? The colonnade of St. Isaac's Cathedral is at the height of an impressive 43 meters. That is high. We went to the top. Boy, the view from the top is phenomenal. It's a view to behold. And you can see all the historical buildings popping out of the distance. You can actually see the rooftops everywhere. It's a vast city. It's a very big city. The Church of Our Saviour on Spilled Blood is architecturally one of the most renowned buildings in St. Petersburg, and it's very different to the other styles of neoclassicism, Baroque and modern architecture. This harks back to medieval Russian architecture in the spirit of romantic nationalism, and it looks very much like something out of a fairy tale. This church is so beautiful. Why would they call it the Church on Spilled Blood?
Because it was constructed on the actual spot where Russian Emperor Alexander II was mortally wounded by the revolutionary terrorists on March 1st, 1881. And his son Alexander III decided to commemorate the name of his father. And he ordered a memorial church to be built on the spot where the blood of his father was spilled. And that's why it's popularly named the Church on the Spilled Blood.
How long did it take to restore the church?
27 years.
27 years?
Longer than its original construction. It took 24 years to build this church originally, and it took 27 years to restore it afterwards.
St. Petersburg's got such a rich history, and the buildings and the art and the music and the ballet, it's all so beautifully intertwined.
When we come back, Janez visits the famous St. Petersburg Ballet and gets an impromptu plie lesson, and later is reunited with Jeannie in Barcelona.
When in St. Petersburg, why not go to the St. Petersburg Ballet? Irina, you've been a Prima ballerina for over 10 years. In such a competitive country like Russia, what does it take to get to the top and stay there?
Каждый раз зависит в день по-разному, это может быть и 5 часов.
Training takes at least 3 or 4 hours a day, but if you want to be in the top, you also need to show something extraordinary or unique.
Ballet looks like such a physical sport. What does it take out of your body?
Конечно, очень эмоционально.
During performance, it takes a lot of physical and emotional energy. Sometimes afterwards, it's very difficult for me to even move my arms.
I'm in Russia. I'm standing next to one of the best ballerinas in the world, and I actually have to just ask you if I can have a quick lesson. Yes, one trick, that's all I want.
Okay.
One trick, thank you. I look completely ridiculous. Oh, I look like an idiot. Don Coyote, they put me in tight little tights that I think were a little bit frayed, and I looked. I never want to see myself in that outfit again. They're laughing at me, eh? They're laughing at me. I've figured it out. Look here. Just have a look. So I've got to start like this. Mm-hmm. Keep my fingers in this position, and then basically open up, close, back to that.
But not
this one. Not like this. Oh, like that. I did it perfectly, but she was like, no, that's not good enough. It's like ballet's. It's all about perfectionism. It's all in the details. If you move your hand this much too far, if you move your hand a little bit too much, then it's wrong. And now to do a turn.
Тур, да?
Okay.
По второй позиции.
Like that, yeah?
Плие. Тур.
Total embarrassment. The girls didn't think I was cool. I didn't think I was cool. I got out of there. My solo Baltic cruise from Copenhagen to Stockholm to Tallinn to St. Petersburg all very different places. Honestly, I was so surprised by Tallinn and St. Petersburg. So inspired to go back there one day, but deep inside I felt like it was time to actually meet up with Jeans again. This is me at my happiest. I'm in Barcelona, one of my all-time favorite cities. I love the people, I love the music, I love the food, the tapas, the paella. I love Barcelona Football Club, and who can forget that talented Mr. Gaudi, one of the best architects of all time. And this is the place in the middle of the Ramblas where I'm meant to meet my co-presenter, good old Jeannie D.
Yes!
Jeannie, my baby, welcome back! Yay! Jeannie's back. I actually did miss her. And as much as I did enjoy the beautiful girls of Scandinavia, I was happy to have Jeans back.
Janez, I think he missed me. I think he missed me a lot because me, Jeannie, synonymous with fun. Oh my Gaudi.
Gaudi's Casa Batlló. How does one say that in
Casa
Spanish?
Bayo.
Casa Bayo.
What do you think?
What do I think? It's weird. It's, you know, it's surreal. This is surreal modernism. In fact, this entire block was called the Block of Discord. 3 different architects trying to prove who could build the most beautiful building. And in my opinion, I think Gaudi took it.
It was actually commissioned by Joseph Bayo in 1904. And he said to Gaudi, please, I want you to renovate my home. And this is what he did.
You know what they also call it? They call it the House of Yawn. If you look at that big window over there, it looks like an open mouth, someone yawning. And then the little pillars are like bones, and the balconies up there are like skulls. So they call it the House of Skulls.
It's actually beautifully ugly, but strangely inspiring and fascinating at the same time. Let's go explore.
The House of Yawns, the House of Skeletons. What is it? It's crazy. And to think that Casa Batlló or Casa Bayo, however you say it in Spanish, I'm not Spanish, is actually a redevelopment. He didn't start that from scratch. That was a renovation.
In terms of extreme makeovers, this is the winner.
At the time that this building was built, this must have been way ahead of its time.
At that time, you can imagine it was very daring what he did. And actually, at that time, he didn't have all the permissions. It was the time of modernism here in Barcelona and in Europe, generally speaking, but he created his own style.
Within this building, what are some of the typical Gaudi features?
The history of St. George and the dragon. I don't know if you know that legend, that the dragon killed people and St. George defeated the dragon and saved a princess. If you look at Casa Batlló, there is a tower which is compared to the sword of St. George's. And if you look at the balconies, they look like skulls of the victims.
I love it. He was a pioneer, he was a trendsetter, and he was the godfather of modernism.
Next week on Top Travel, our jet-setting duo explore Barcelona further, including Gaudi's masterpiece, the awe-inspiring Basilica La Sagrada Familia. They soak up the sun on one of the city's best beaches, try a new extreme water sport, and board a new cruise ship, the spectacular Liberty of the Seas. It's then on to Toulon in France to visit the Maritime Museum before courting Lady Luck in Monaco at the world-famous Monte Carlo Casino.